This is a little bit different than my typical videos just because I don't exactly do videos on art platforms, but you know, I just kind of wanted to experiment a little, so if this is a little bit all over the place, I do apologize. But I've been using IbispaintX for almost 6 years now, since I started in 2019, and despite that, there's a lot of different features that I didn't know about or slowly learned about as time went on, because it was kind of just like a learning curve, I guess. A couple of these really cool and really helpful things I didn't even know about until maybe like a year or two ago. So I just kind of wanted to make a video on navigating some of these features and ones that I found particularly helpful and save me a lot of time. Of course, some of these aren't going to be applicable for everyone, as everyone's art styles is different, so their needs are a little bit different than mine. So this first one, embarrassingly, I did not know about until maybe a couple months ago, and that's the Lasso Tool, and it took me forever to find where this is. But basically you go on like the magic pen and click the magic pen, and there should be a list of all of the different things, and you'll find the Lasso Tool in there. But genuinely, this is probably one of the most helpful tools that I've found in IbispaintX, specifically in my case because the pen that I use, my custom brush, is semi-transparent, so the fill button doesn't exactly help in most of the cases. It was a really big struggle on like filling in all of the lines and trying to make sure it actually looked decent when bucket tooling. So this is a wonderful alternative, and it saved me a lot of time when it comes to flat colors and just rendering in general. It's a really cool feature, and yeah, I really do like the way they do the Lasso Tool. It's slightly different than a couple of the other art platforms that I've used, but I think it's neat. So we're putting that in there. This one, embarrassingly, again, I didn't know about until around the same time a couple months ago, and that is the clear white feature, because this is really helpful, especially if I'm needing specific cleared backgrounds for things like apps on my phone or for digital collages. This is really neat. So basically there's a 3-button thing at the side when you're like looking at all of the layers, and when you click that, there's a bunch of different options, and one of those is to clear white, and there's a grayscale version and then there's a color version. Either way, both of these are really neat, though you have to make sure that it's the actual art itself or whatever you're trying to clear white from, that there isn't actual fully white on there, because if it's pure white, then it's going to get wiped alongside the background. But other than that, this is really cool, and it saved me a lot of time, especially with digital collage or just whatever I'm using those for. These next two are kind of obvious and given, so, you know, it's no surprise, but I still took a while finding this feature even when I was beginning, and ever since then it's just been such an important thing for me to use. So here's how to use, first off, custom brushes. So custom brushes, when you're going to add brushes, there is an add brush button, and once you click that, you basically pull an image from your phone or just from like your files, and that's how you get the brush, because it took me a while to figure out how to use the QR codes. It's not like a scanning thing, so you're just basically grabbing it from your photo library and putting it in, and that's how you get the custom brush. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, and I'm a huge fan of custom brushes. I use the same two all the time. And yeah, with the new stamp brushes that have come out, I think this is even more helpful to figure out. This second one, I also took forever figuring it out, but you can add custom fonts also that are not listed in IbisPaint to your IbisPaint. One of the ways I've used this in both like CapCut and IbisPaint is creating my own fonts, or like my alphabet fonts, which are for my OC, lore, language, whatever. And it saves a lot of time instead of writing it out, or if I need to like use it for specific decorative purposes. So I used something simple, like I think it was a font making app or just website, and I used the template. I'm sure I will link it in the description just to make it easier to access, but you basically just use that, and from there you're inserting it into IbisPaint, but it's also insertable to a bunch of different other websites too. So I just think it's really cool, and then of course you can adjust it how you like in IbisPaint and everything. Embarrassingly, I didn't know about this one or just how helpful it was, because I knew where it was approximately, but I didn't actually see the importance of this feature until I started animating on IbisPaint, because I do switch between Flip-a-Clip and IbisPaint, but this tool is super helpful if you're doing things that need to be repeated over and over again. This feature particularly is found at the top of your artworks. It's right next to the image library, I think. But you click on a button, I'm sure I'll show it in the video, and kind of there it is. It's the copy and paste. But if you use your lasso tool, it can copy specific parts instead of the whole layer, and when you duplicate it, it will be a separate layer. So this is really helpful, I guess in my case. I just underutilized it a lot up until this point. So yeah, this next one I haven't been using a lot, but when I do, it's really helpful with clearing colors, especially if it's a specific color that isn't white that you want to clear. And that's your bucket eraser. The bucket eraser is really easy to find, but I just didn't spot it. But it's in your bucket tool. You click on the bucket tool, and then you swap from the paint bucket to the eraser, and then boom, you got your eraser. And this is really helpful again for clearing backgrounds or clearing specific colors out of your artwork. I just think it's a neat tool. It saves a lot of time in specific projects when you're gonna need it. So to know where it is nice. This one I found out about forever ago, but again, I didn't really use this feature. I think this will be helpful for specific art styles that do use a lot of texture or want textured art. This feature is located next to the color filters in your layers. When you're putting multiply or divide on a specific layer, you can click to the side and there'll be a bunch of different types of screen tones for you to use. I like to use the dotted one and the horizontal lines, but there's a bunch of different really neat ones in there too. And admittedly, I haven't played a lot with screen tones as of recently, or just I haven't used the screen tones a lot. It really helps with, I think, stylized or grayscale works particularly. This next one I found out about while I was animating a while back, and I think this is only really applicable and convenient to anyone who's animating on IbisPaint, but I don't know if this is like a recent addition into IbisPaint or if it's a recent update, but you can change the visibility with a keypad. So you just click on the visibility, you know where the slider is, there's like a number next to it, and then it gives you a little keypad and you can insert the number. So instead of having to slide back and forth and get onto that specific visibility, instead just click on that and insert your numbers into it. So again, this is mostly very convenient for me in my animation stuff because I want to have the visibility be the same on every layer, but when you copy and paste, it doesn't exactly keep the same layer visibility that it did on the thing you're copying from. So to be able to just insert the number instead of sliding it back and forth saves so much time, and I think it's really cool. I don't know if this is recent, but you know, it's cool. And this last one is premium blocked, but I've been using it so much ever since it came out, and if you do have premium, I do recommend it. It's just really, really cool. And that's the surrounding fill. So basically it works the same as a lasso, but instead of going around the parameters yourself, you instead do like a full circle and it will fill in everything within your line art. And I tried this on mine and I was very skeptical if it was going to work on the line art that I use because again, it is semi-transparent, but it did. specifically in animating, it saved me so much time in laying out all of the flat colors and the layers and everything. If you have premium, use this feature. I think that's basically everything that I've seen, or all of the features that I use, or features that I think are pretty cool on IbisPaint. Of course, if I missed any that you think are really neat, put it in the comments and I'd love to discuss them. But, you know, on art platforms, I don't explore as much, so when I do find out about these, I just kind of wish I had them sooner. So to compile them all in this video for convenience of other people is just really neat. And I do hope this helps a little bit. I'm not a very good explainer. That's all. Bye!